good.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Strength Hammer Podcast, Episode 10. And if you're not listening to this in the morning, good morning anyway. Stop listening and turn it on in the morning, so we're correct.
Yeah, if we're wrong, it's your fault.
Yes. So today, very special day. We got, like I said, Episode 10, so we're an official podcast. Round of applause, if you would, Matt. Thank you. Perfect amount of applause. So today, Matt and I have on three very special guests. Cole, Luis, and Jacob. They are members of the Ligonier Legion, which is the local gaming club I'm a part of, as well as Matt whenever he makes the trip from Pittsburgh down. But on top of that, they're also the ones that really lead the different game systems. I mean, I kind of head up AOS, but also all of them play AOS. So I wanted to bring them on to get them to talk about their experience with the club, what we're trying to do. And then also, there's the benefit that all of us play Warhammer 40k in 9th edition has been announced. And we're just going to do some first reactions on that. So I guess first, Matt and I will start with the general format of how we do our little hobby table section. Matt, what's on your hobby table and how's your fitness going?
Fitness is going pretty good in comparison to the rest of the world with everyone getting, even if they don't get the virus, they still get the 19 part. Yeah, I haven't gained anything, but I've been working so much that I just get out of work and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just not eat a lot and not worry about the moving part. So you don't expect so much buoyancy on that one. But as far as the hobby goes, although I haven't done a lot of hobbying per se, I've actually moved out a lot of I got rid of all of my surplus 40k stuff, so that one of the local Pittsburgh clubs was struggling a little bit, and they were posting they posted asking if anyone could donate some models, and they would sell them and they'd split the price. And I just said, listen, these models are, 5, 6, 7 years old. That I got my value out of them. You just, whatever you can get from them is good. And so even though I didn't build or paint anything, I at least got some progress done.
Yeah, hey, that's something. I mean, clearing out, as I've talked about on like social media, is a big thing. I've done a lot of clear out lately. Not so much in the Warhammer hobby, but just in general. It feels good.
Yeah, I already filled all the space back up with AOS stuff, so.
Well, I mean, you're focused. I guess next we'll check in with Cole. And just Cole, what's been on your hobby table, and are you doing anything for fitness? If you don't have anything, then get out. Why are you on this podcast?
Well, I will show myself the door then. I haven't been doing anything for fitness, unless you want to count packing boxes and getting ready for move, because that's what my life's been as of late. And what's currently on my hobby desk is boxes. So as soon as I'm done with that, though, I'm hoping to grab my Harlequins that I have been working on and building, and actually convince myself to put paint on them. It's
Nice.
the most daunting part of that whole thing, is convincing myself just put paint on them. It'll be fine.
Just do all those
But
diamonds.
I want to keep.
You
I want to do the diamonds, and
Oh, you are?
it's
Yeah.
going to make it so much more difficult.
Yeah.
Do you have an airbrush?
I do not have an airbrush. Haven't had a space for an airbrush before. Well, hopefully this move might change that. So
There you go.
Yeah, I
we'll
think
see.
that's the cheat. Is you just get paper and you just cut the diamonds in and then hold it up an airbrush, and that's all.
I'm sure you can find
Yeah.
staples. There are stencils for it as well.
Yeah, just get some staples.
Staples just
Yeah,
staple
I'll
it
just start stapling the model. Staple would be
Unclear.
thicker than most of their limbs. Oh,
Well, let's go over to Luis. What's on your hobby table? What's been your fitness, if any?
I'll do fitness first. I actually was a little worried that I would gain weight in quarantine, and I have been losing weight.
Okay.
despite not doing a whole lot more exercise. So I'm starting to realize that my big problem is like the snacking and eating out thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. That'll get you. I know, like for me personally, if I have it in the house, I'll eat it. So I do my best to not buy excess of things that I'd like to snack on, like even like a light beer or chocolate. If it's in the house, it's gone.
Yeah. So that's good, right?
Yeah, no, that is good. I mean,
There's
better relationship with food is always a key thing to actually getting fitter in general.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of talk in the house lately about what things we want to go back to normal and what things we don't.
Mm-hmm.
And between the money and the health benefits, I think eating out has been something that we definitely want to keep at quarantine level.
No,
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good thing too, and we'll probably get into that just in general too. But yeah, the whole like what is going to be normal compared to what used to be normal, and,
Right.
and how can we make it like a good thing for us? So that's really awesome. Jacob, how are you over there? What's your hobby? What's your fitness?
Hey, wait. Luis didn't say what he's hobbying about.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I was hoping I was
Oh,
going
I'm
to get
sorry.
away with that.
He got me distracted.
No
with
one
the
cares
fitness.
that you're not fat.
Sorry.
No, less fat, not fat.
All right,
less.
Jacob, hold the thought. Luis hobby table now.
Oh man, I have been trying to clear backlog. So painting up Shadespire warband or Underworld's warbands like crazy. We've been playing some skirmish games at the house. So Marvel Crisis Protocol, been painting up a lot of that.
Nice.
And now I'm staring at the Warcry stuff that I need to get to.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
seeing you post your Underworld stuff all over the place, and damn, dude, you knock it out of the park.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, and especially too, like I'm always impressed when someone can paint exactly like it's supposed to be, kind of like on the box thing. And your Crisis Protocol's doing that. Like you're hitting the right colors for all those heroes.
Yeah, those look really good. I really enjoy all those models.
Thank you
post.
so much.
Yeah, and actually, did you just do like a? Is it the actual table you play on, or did you just do a diorama for your Crisis Protocol?
No, it's the terrain that actually comes in the core set.
Okay, it looks like a diorama.
Well, thanks. Yeah, the table. The one thing that doesn't come in the core set that I wish did was some kind of like playmat or board. Because the board size is 3x3, and I'll be damned if I don't have anything that's remotely that size.
Well, mats are going to be a topic of conversation for us, I'm sure. So there's a chance, hopefully, Norm will be carrying some mats soon that might fit your need perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, now that Matt has corrected course for me, and as we said before the show, proven to be the professional one on this podcast, now we'll go to Jacob. What's your fitness? What's your hobby?
Fitness wise, I don't do anything. I just go to work.
Yeah, you have a very labor intensive job too, so.
Yeah, I've lost like 10 pounds, but that's because I haven't been eating out.
Yeah,
And I couldn't afford to really lose 10 pounds, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you have like what, 1% body fat?
Yeah, the winters are cold without any. I'm telling you. Actually just picked up a box of Russians. Well, a whole army of Russian Flames of War miniatures. There's a lot of people.
Thank you
it
for
seems
clarifying.
He picked up a bunch of Russians at the street corner.
There's it seems like a lot of
I need
people
two. Get in.
getting out of the hobby, and it seems like people are selling stuff off cheap to try and make ends meet during this whole deal. So I've been fortunate enough I can pick up some of this stuff.
Yeah, I haven't really. Have you seen like for that in our club in general, Jacob? I mean, I haven't seen any for Age of Sigmar or 40K, but I know you also take care of our historical side.
As far as people like in our club selling stuff out,
Yeah.
no, I haven't seen any of it from our club. I think we've been very fortunate. But I mean, I get on eBay. It's my crutch. It's a problem that I have. Then I see stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that people are selling off way cheaper than they would have been 5 or 6 months ago. So
I get it. I mean, heck, during the end times, I was literally being given models from fantasy because people were just getting out. I'm like, okay.
Right.
As for myself, my fitness, just generally I'm lifting 5 to 6 days a week. My cardio has dropped, but today being Memorial Day, so happy Memorial Day, everybody in the United States. And once again, if you're not in the United States, just turn off the podcast, fly to the United States, get citizenship, and turn it back on. And happy Memorial Day.
Or marry an American.
Or marry an American, yeah, that's fine. But for CrossFit, every Memorial Day, we do a workout called Murph, and I got that later today. So it's a mile run, 100 pull-ups, which I don't have a pull-up bar, so I'm going to do some bent over rows, 200 push-ups, 300 air squats, and another mile run. And you're supposed to do it in a 20-pound weight vest, which I don't have, but we'll see how that goes, because like I said, my cardio has been suffering. I've been walking every day multiple times, but I haven't really pushed cardio, so this may be the final podcast, at least with me on it. Matt will pick it up and just keep going with it.
Yeah, I'll improve it. Don't worry.
It's okay. He's a professional one. He's got this.
Exactly.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I did communication major for 2 years at a college. That's what I did.
For my hobby table, I'm competing in the Bits Havoc right now. It's a hashtag Bits Havoc on Twitter. My friend and Warhammer hero Dan, Lonely Havoc on Twitter. It's a cool little thing. He pairs two people up, and he sends them a bunch of random bits, which people have donated to him, and he gives you a theme, and you have to build it and paint it if you want. And I have mine built and primed, so I'm going to probably paint that later today. And also I have my latest set of 10 Witch Elves built. Hopefully prime them if it's not too humid today, and I don't know, maybe even get started painting on them. Bring the total up to 250, and then that actually will break my 10,000 points of Daughters of Cain, which I'm happy to be right there.
300 or nothing, baby.
We're gonna stop at 250 for a little bit because I'd like to add some more snakes to my army in the long run. But
just remember, you'll always be short of the mighty 300.
I know. Well, we'll get there. Don't worry. But like I said, I also have a pile
Sounds
of.
like a.
What's that?
I was gonna say, sounds like a 2021 goal, but
we'll see. I know that the next big goal
sounds like a June goal.
June. Oh, yeah. I also have a pile of terrain donated, 3D printed by Anthony Polcastro that needs to be built and painted for Nova. So I need to get building that, and then I need to convince you guys to come help me paint it.
Also a June goal.
We'll see. We still need to see if, as of right now, we don't know if Nova's happening or not. We're planning as if it is, but weird times. But yeah, no, that's it. I have nothing else. No backlog. It's great. I'm in a very happy spot for hobby. But yeah. So I guess let's get into the main topic. I'd like our audience to get to know you guys better, because you guys will be returning as guests for topics here and there and just for fun. Luis, let's start with you. Why don't you give us like some insight on how you got into the hobby, how you found the club, and what you're doing for the club, because you're doing quite a bit.
Oh boy. How did I get into the hobby? I got in actually relatively recently. I think I started really like buying Warhammer stuff 3.5 years ago, maybe.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I was always kind of adjacent to the hobby because I played Magic the Gathering for a long time, and a lot of the stores that I played in also sold Warhammer. It's kind of one of those things where I just didn't have the disposable income to actually be able to play. Like, everything just seemed too expensive. But a few years ago, I wound up selling off a big part of my Magic collection, most of my Modern and Legacy stuff, and wanted to get into the painting side at least. So I picked some stuff up, and a friend of mine introduced me to Ligonier Legion, and then I started going out and playing with you folks. And it very quickly ballooned from that to, I don't know how many armies I have. I don't want to try to mentally tally up the amount of money.
Yeah, had a friend do that for me once. I gave her a rough idea what things cost, and she started adding it up, and she reached a number that was too high, and I was like, just stop.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, because you only ever played Age of Sigmar then, as far as fantasy goes. You never were in the
Correct. Correct.
Yeah, I did not know that,
Nope.
actually.
Nope. Now, I have an embarrassing drawing from middle school of, oh God, what is the Dragon King from Fantasy that's riding the big green dragon? I'm going to embarrass the hell out of myself.
The dragon? Is it what race?
Dragon, it's an elf prince that's riding a dragon.
Imric?
Yeah, I have a drawing I did of him in middle school, so that kind of shows you how long I've been aware of it. But
oh wow, no, that's neat though. Like, yeah, this hobby, like at least the game, you don't always start out just writing the models. Usually, you're adjacent to something, like you said.
Right.
Yeah. So continue the journey to how you been a part of this club and taken on lots of tasks and organizing for folks.
Yeah, I don't know. I tend to be very involved in kind of any organization that I'm in. So I think I started out being more of an organizer to give you a break so that you could actually play instead of organizing all the Age of Sigmar stuff all the time.
Yeah, you definitely took over a few events, which was nice. Was it the curse of that we all know of running something is you just sit and watch people play more than play?
Yeah, I mean that generally helps me because I'm a bit of a spaz when playing, and I wouldn't say I'm very good. So it's nice to actually be able to facilitate to a certain extent.
That's nice. So outside of that though, like what specifically, because like you are technically the lead for like Warcry and I guess Underworlds as well. You kind of head both those up for us.
Yeah. I as much as I like the really large scale games, I definitely do much more playing of skirmish games. So I've led skirmish type games a few times and a few open days for people that are into board games or just want to try new games out. Star Wars Legion, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know you were trying to get Legion going, and we actually we had a Warcry tournament with the official prize kit we were going to run before all this happened. But I think that's going to be probably our first thing back, I assume.
Yeah,
that
would be great.
That's your call, though. I mean, who knows?
Oh no, that would be great. I just I would have to take the medals that I've been displaying down.
I came in first, second, and third.
Yeah, exactly. Somehow I have every certificate and every medal. No,
that's amazing. Oh no, that's awesome. Like I said, it's been really nice too that you took over. Helping just run Age of Sigmar on occasion as well as just taking on those games because they're especially Warcry is really kind of taken off at our club or was taking off, so it'd be nice to have that be like a feature because normally before this it was just Age of Sigmar Day, which was anything in the realm of Age of Sigmar. But some of those games definitely require their own full days to get good games in.
And also, in the same vein of picking up your slack, Luis, if it happens, is also going to be the lead for the AOS doubles and
yes, that's right,
and Warcry at Nova Open.
The Warcry GT, yep.
Yeah, well, that's the other fun thing. Just dragging all of you guys into Nova Open. Cole, Jacob, you guys are next.
No, I just want to play. Thank you, I appreciate that.
We can get you into something.
Nah. I just made it outside of the top 16 last time. Now I just want to enter that. That's
yeah. You're gonna ride on those laurels a long time.
Oh man, right. I was like on cloud 9, man. You just kept pumping out those wins. I don't know how you did it.
Well, it ended rather quickly.
Yeah, we were doing our best to get you the right opponents, and we just goofed out. We're sorry about that.
Oh, jeez.
You could only hold off Slaanesh so long.
Hey, I'm take my 50% while I was there. Okay.
Then the final round we gave you Joe Crier with his Masty Zinch list, and you're just like, oh boy.
I didn't understand how good Zinch could be, and then he showed me, and I'll tell you what, I learned quite a lot in that game, but it was a really enjoyable game.
Yeah, like that.
And that was prior to their upgrade, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
Or update, I should say.
the fact like Joe. That's his primary army, and he plays it 90% of the time. So it's like he can
He
bring out
seemed to
everything
just
for it.
know. Yeah, he understood the positioning that he needed for that army to just completely neutralize me, which good on him. He knows what he's doing. And I learned a lot about that army in that game.
But yeah, so like I said, Luis, it's been great having you a part of the club and doing as much as you're doing, and then like taking to the next step. And then I don't know how you're doing it, considering that you have a child. As you said, you have Frozen 2 playing constantly in the background, and you have a second
Oh
child
no,
on the
that's
way.
just for me.
Oh, that's for you. Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I have a 4-year-old and a little one on the way.
Yeah, which also I think we just found out that I just found out last night, as the Nova guys were talking, that if you're not at Nova Open and because it's happening, it's because your wife's giving birth. Because the timing is a little too perfect.
Yeah, kids due end of September, and then last ultrasound, they're like, your kid's measuring like 2 weeks larger than it's supposed to be. Like, all right.
Well, next I want to talk to Jacob, because he, I sort of know kind of general about his time in the hobby, but I'm curious to know more, because I came in after you started, but I'm also older, so it's weird. Not to mention you also take on running historical, because we have a big historical scene in our area that really honestly would die if we didn't have somebody leading it. So I'm glad you're here to do that for them. But yeah, let's tell us how you got in the hobby. Tell us your journey, and then yeah.
Well, actually, I was like 13, and I went over to Cole, actually, he's here. I was best friends with his little brother growing up, and they got me playing my first game of 40K with Orcs and Space Marines, and I fell in love, and then started going down to Ligonier with them, and started playing Flames of War, actually, and Flames of War kind of really stuck with me. It was a game that I could really get into. Really struck with me. I'm a big historical person. I really enjoy historical stuff.
Now, is it, again, I haven't played any historicals, and I really don't know too much about it, but I feel like it's odd or rare to see a 13-year-old playing a historical. Is that about right?
Well, I don't know. Actually, we have a fair amount of kids that do show up that are interested in it. The big thing that's a real advantage about Flames of War is you don't have to know anything historical at all, and you can still show up and play. I can give you a bunch of tanks, and you can go play and have a great day. So, I mean, you don't have to know anything.
Have you? I know you said Flames of War is your main. Have you tried any of the others? Like, I can't think of any of the others.
As far as historical games go,
yeah.
Nah, Flames of War is what I stick to. I got way too much of that. I don't need any more. But yeah, I mean, our club's good. We got a lot of good people that are involved in my personal deal, and they're all pretty self-sufficient. I just give them an idea, and they normally tend to run with it. So.
Yeah, the days are always busy when they happen. Like I said, I do find it interesting that there's not normally, like most war games, you see crossover, but like there's most of the historical guys are just historical, and they just cross over the other historical. We can't seem to get them in the fantasy or 40K.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty well the only one that plays all three systems that we have down there. Well, I guess we have 4 systems. I play 3 out of 4. But.
Yeah, at least on a regular basis. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like, what? I guess. Do you want to tell us like what kind of armies you collect outside of your historical end, like for 40K OS?
For 40K, I got Thousand Suns, Imperial Guard, Blood Angels, and I have about half an army of Space Wolves for some reason because I have a problem.
So we need to do what I did and just bring them and sell them all. Sell them to people
I
in
think the
clubs. that
problem
want
is
them.
you don't have the other half.
Ooh.
Norm's got the new box set for 40k, the Prophecy of the Wolf, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's got it set back for me because I have orcs now too. I just bought a whole army of orcs because I want to put like 300 Gretchen on the table and watch them run across and get slaughtered
Oh God.
with
Nice.
Gazgul in the middle of it because it would be funny.
Well, you get his little banner guy would give him better leadership, right? For all the grots.
But
yeah.
in AOS, I have a whole bunch of dwarves. I picked up way back when I was probably only in 40k for a year or two whenever somebody was selling out all their dwarves. So I bought a lot of dwarves and then started running with that. Now I've played dwarves and before whenever they were I ran the bottom tables. I was pretty good at being at the bottom.
Yeah, no.
I think I was the only actual straight dwarf player that was at Nova Open. So
Yeah, and there's what, 2 at Adepticon the year you took them, and I think you won a game that year too, didn't you?
well, I didn't play in the GT at Adepticon. We played in the team tournament. Cole actually and I both played in the AOS teams, and yeah, we did win. We won a game, didn't we, Cole?
Yes, I think we had a singular win. It was pretty much a minor victory, but it was there.
Yeah, it was
Our
against the
opponent had
only other person who brought dwarves.
Right, that's right. It was the other dwarf player.
You had to put them in their place.
And our lists were the same.
No, what's really funny is I was watching a video that was going over tournament stats about the different armies, and it happened right after they included Nova. And so, like, because of you, the Dispossessed were actually, like, in a really good spot in the rankings, but
Yeah.
but they were like, oh, they're like, Dispossessed is up. Oh, one person played it. Never mind.
Yeah,
I
someone
won
played
one
it.
game.
Yeah, someone played it, and your one victory dragged them up like multiple percentages.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
Heck yeah.
No, I had a good time playing Old Dwarves.
So now you're running
But
them as
now I
free
switched over
cities.
and I started throwing Empire stuff. Well, I guess what
Free
whatever
cities,
it is.
yeah.
free. Yeah, I started throwing some of them in and playing a lot different game than I was before. But it's a learning curve. But I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot. And we have a good group of people to play. There's a lot of skill around our area to play against and get good with, or get better. I'm not gonna say good, but get better.
You know, that is a
With-
really good thing to mention too. For some reason, our little Ligonier area, like, we have probably 4 or 5 folks that are like always in the top 10 in the country for Age of Sigmar and or 40k that regularly show up to our events, and we're friends with them and are really cool people. Like we have a tough training field if we want it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Like I said, it's great that you can do historical. I know, like, you and then our shop owner Norm keeps trying to get me in historicals, and actually it's starting to work, because since I ran out of stuff to paint, more or less, he gave me some Romans. And I bought an Osprey book, so this may be my downfall.
So you're just getting to that age. That's all.
Yeah, I
Hey, what do
mean,
you mean? I'm the youngest one here.
Yeah, you're an oddity. That's why.
you're mentally 67.
Fair.
Well, I guess let's introduce and learn a little bit more about Cole, the gentleman who runs our 40k, who's taken on that monumental task.
I don't know if it's monumental. Thankfully, our local area, like you said, we have some good players, but down in our little club, we're not too terribly competitive, so I don't have to keep up on the biggest cutting edge at all times. Makes it much simpler. But yeah, no, I got into Warhammer and Wargaming about the same time, around when I was 13. I don't even remember why. I think it was a friend of mine who had a couple of models, and I thought, oh, that's just the coolest thing. Of course I want to get into this. And so you start looking around trying to get into it, and you realize, oh, there's this, I forget, I think it was the 5th edition starter box where it had Space Marines on one side, Orcs on the other. So of course I grabbed up all the Space Marines, handed the younger brother all the Orcs, and we started to just smash models at each other and had no idea what the heck we were doing until, I don't know, we start going down to Norm's, our friendly local game store, Toy Soldier Gallery, and he tells us, hey, at the local library there's going to be some other people playing who actually know what they're doing. And so one of my first games was actually, they were doing a doubles tournament at our friendly local, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I don't think anybody realized that I had no idea what I was doing until I just started plopping models on the table, and they go, well, you're going to have your captain charge Dante? Yeah, it seems like a great idea. if you're an Age of Sigmar player, basically I'm having a generic captain run against a 10,000-year-old Space Marine who is very good at killing people. It did not end well at all.
Here's Liberator Prime versus Archeon. Go!
Yes, exactly. It went as you expected. But after that, I just, for whatever reason, just wanted to keep sticking with it. It was a really good group of people down there. I think it was only, like I said, 13, 14 at the time. So I'm glad that they were okay with a child essentially running around with them. After that, I pretty well just stuck with 40K for a while until somebody tried to convince me that fantasy was a great idea. And me being young and thinking, well, I still really like 40K, I figured, oh, I'll just pick up demons because you can use them in both. That seems like a great idea. It turned out to be pretty good because I believe in 8th edition Age of Sigmar, they were pretty nasty at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how mean they could be. I was young, didn't understand, and just rolling over people like, what am I doing? How am I doing this? But it was a good time.
Oh, 8th edition fantasy. I was thinking, like, dude, 8th edition's out right now. I don't know what you're talking about. So
No.
young.
Fantasy. No, I started playing 40K in 5th, so.
Boy, I can't remember how young I was in fall of 2019. That's...
Yeah.
So long
Listen
ago.
here, old man. All right. Yeah, no. I was starting to think about that. I've been playing this game for basically half my life now. So,
I guess we should pause real quick, and especially myself, Cole, you, and Jacob need to I guess give thanks and blame our friend Brad, who ran the club for a long time, and he's the one that tricked us all into playing all these games when we were so young and impressionable.
Yeah, Brad did a really good job of bringing young people in, really getting them interested in the hobby. So
yeah, and we do.
Yeah,
that still carries through to even what we're all doing, because there's a lot of young people
taught
in our
us
club.
all a lot. Taught us all a lot on how to handle a young person and get them interested in the hobby. I mean, we're very, very, very much so. I'm very thankful, anyways, that I came into the group with somebody like that to kind of lead me, at least personally, in a way to be able to help younger people and do that kind of stuff. We do have a pretty young group of kids that show up fairly often. So,
and everyone in our group understands, even the most veteran of players, that they no matter what list they bring, even if it's a prep for a GT coming up, if they go against someone who's new, they know how to play it, so they're not ruining someone's day by just like running them over them, because he's like, oh no, we'll give it a game. I know how to play my list. I'll play it appropriately for my opponent to give them a good game. And every single person does that at our club, and it's wonderful.
Says the guy who dropped Scarbrand and 2 Bloodthirsters on my first game.
You need to learn.
You're not a child.
I thought you were gonna do. Says the guy who always puts down as many witch elves as possible.
Oh no, that was my second game playing against you. That you dropped down like 100 witch elves.
Yeah, well, listen. I don't know how to play Khorne, so I honestly put that down. No, like thinking that this is not good because I still don't know how to play Khorne at all.
Nobody knows how to play Khorne. If you just listen to the lore, that's how you don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I think the secret is just 3 bloodthirsters and a bunch of flesh hounds. I think that seems to be what works.
It's a good idea. It's a good start.
So, as far as I guess the club goes, then Cole, like, why don't you tell us like what's been going on with 40K right now?
So before all this happened, we all ended up locked in our homes. We had an escalation league going, actually, where we started with Kill Team, and we're going to work our way up to 2,000 points. I believe the next one was going to be a 1,500 point battle. I'm not entirely certain. I'm going to be checking with people of the club if they want to continue that whenever all this opens back up. I believe Norm, our friendly local game store owner, wants us to run a 2K tournament whenever all this comes out to try and grab everyone and be like, hey, come out, let's do something. You don't have to worry about whatever the points were before all this happened. Let's all just get together, have a good time. Outside of that, for whatever reason, our local club just loves Kill Team. Yeah. I know that if I say, hey, we're going to do a Kill Team game, I will be able to fill our local area. I think it's just the speed of the game. People enjoy that. So
I assume you're going to run something special whenever 9th comes out?
Yeah, I think we're going to, especially whenever it first comes out. It'll probably more or less be, hey, everyone come down, bring a 1K or 2K list, and we are just going to figure out these new rules, because in our local club, if I just say, hey, know the new rules, come on down and do something, it'll take a little while for everyone to understand, and I'll just be running around between tables.
I don't plan on reading the rules. I'm going to bring up models, and you need to show me what to do.
And we have a couple of people just like you in the club, and that's why I can't just have let's jump into it. It's got to be
Well, I'll pull what Custodes I have left, and I'll tell you how many points I have, and we can run a tournament of that size.
Oh, okay. Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay. Perfect.
The Matt Hayward format.
Yeah.
1235. That's
1,235 points. No more. I guess you can have a few less.
But I mean, to your credit, Cole, with what you're doing, especially with that latest slow grow league, like I repainted and finished painting all my Dark Angels like around that time, because I was just like, yeah, I want to do this. I want my stuff to look good, and now I have a fully painted 40K army, which I didn't think I'd have again. At least I actually painted to a decent level, as opposed to my young teenage self paint job that's been on them forever.
Yeah, you're also a madman and did it in like a week too, though. So
what a week! Listen, dry brushing and washes. Oh my gosh, Space Marines. Like I have no fear. Like, you want to give me Space Marines to paint, like new Primaris coming out? Yeah, I'll buy a box and they'll be done that day. I guarantee it. They're so easy to work up.
Yeah, there's one army that I kind of want to get into, is that even though the new Primaris have gone now since regular Space Marines where I started, I don't want to bring in these new folk for whatever reason. Something in my head just doesn't want to use them. But all these new sculpts look too good. I'm going to end up giving up on that.
Oh, I'm all for the Primaris. That, like, having, when I was painting both at the same time, like the Primaris are easier to paint up just because they're slightly larger.
Right. You can actually get your brush into places. It makes life a lot easier.
Listen, that, and they take to the direct. Like, I literally did a green Dark Angel green primer on the green wing. I mean, obviously the colors based upon the army, but a dry brush and a wash, and they were 90% done. Then the detail work was super simple. Actually, it took me, I just did decals, transfer sheets. That took probably the longest because I didn't know how to do it. Got some help, but yeah.
I can't say I've ever used decal sheets, so I'd have to actually learn how you do that correctly without it looking all shiny. So
yeah, I had my friend Les. He's over in England, but he needed some transfers for his Dark Angels, and he paints better than I ever will. But I was sending him some, and I was just like, yeah, I've never done it because I don't really learn how to do it. And he just sat down, recorded like a walkthrough, and I tried it, and I was like, oh. So I'll show you how to do it. It's super easy, and it does make him look so much better.
Good. Maybe I'll have to try that for the Harlequins then.
Yeah. But yeah, so I guess that kind of leads us into the next topic, since all of us here also play 40K, which is kind of fun. Now, I will count myself as the least knowledgeable about playing 40K. I dive into the lore.
Say that. Right now, I'm pretty well, as I'm probably in the same boat as you.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, I mean, we all keep up with the lore, but yeah, the last edition, I think I had 5 games. I know it's stunning, but also it's because I was rather just playing Age of Sigmar at the time. But I want to get more. I want to get more regular with 40K with the club with this new edition. I love edition changes just because it's a nice little reset. It feels comfortable getting back into the game, relearning things. Everyone's kind of put back on the same level for a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, and especially since this is a softer changeover than the jump from 7th to 8th was, it's probably going to be easier transition for a lot of people too.
Yeah, this is like from AOS 1 to 2 type thing, it feels like.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely looking over the 9 things that are great about 9th edition or whatever they called it. Yeah, definitely points to like the whoops. Patch that, put a little spackle there.
Well,
Paint.
Hey, from the preview on Pete Foley's board, I mean, he confirmed that Dark Angels are the best chapter, so hopefully that means we can get a decent rule, and the shenanigans of other chapters won't take that rule away from us in 2 weeks' time. I'm hoping.
Well, he also confirmed that he's going to make Space Marines smaller again, so...
I got both. It's fine. But, yeah, I guess we'll start with Cole while we're on it. Like, what's your general thoughts on what they've announced for the changes? Which just hasn't been a lot. Like, we know basically what they're going to try to do, but we don't know exact rules. So this is all just kind of like first impressions.
Right. So first impressions, I watched the reveal over on Twitch the other day, and one of the big things for me was it sounds like the base grouping of the rules are going to be easy for everyone to access and get to, and that's awesome because the less I have to buy a giant rulebook to convince somebody new to get into the game or keep going with the game, the better. One less thing that they have to get. Whenever I'm going through, like as Matt said about the 9 things great about the new edition, I'm liking everything that I'm reading in there or hearing in there. The one that sticks out to me is more command points for less soup, which I think is something that, although we've all grown used to in 8th edition, it's something I miss from the older editions where you grab a singular book and that's all you need. Not, okay, I'm going to grab Imperial Guard, some Knights, and some Space Marines.
I'm going to...
Yeah, now, to be fair, for the previous editions, even though you're bringing one army, you've always had to bring several books.
This is true. I guess I only need to remember the rules for one army.
I'm going to go out on a hot take here. I hate soup. I don't like it.
I agree.
I like splashing in thing here and there, kind of like allies, like a contingent of this. But I hate the mixing. Like, if there's anything that makes me walk up to a table at like a 40K tournament, I had this. This was back in 8th edition. I saw this beautiful converted Wraith Knight that someone green stuffed on an amazing trench coat to make it look Harlequin. I was like, oh my gosh, a Harlequin Eldar themed army, like cool. I walked up to the table and it was next to like some weirdly different colored painted towel, and I just like ew and walked away. I'm like, I don't like it. Hobby snob right here. I'll say it.
I feel like you're targeting me a little bit, and my beautiful Gulliman Custodes Death Watch Sisters of Battle army.
What?
Well, again, whenever 8th edition started, I had a bunch of stuff that I liked. And I was like, I really like these guys, and I like these guys, and I like these guys. So I put in Gulliman because I like him. And then I also like Custodes, so they were my melee force. And then I used Death Watch for long range support. And then I brought in Saint Celestine, and I had enough points left over for the one of the assassins. So,
No,
Perfect. I like it.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of my interest there in 40k for a little while because I was playing Blood Angels real hard before 8th drop. And then Assault Marines became like not very good.
Well, they're back now.
I like. Wow. I don't
Well,
know.
I do feel like no, again, this is from like an outsider's perspective because I really haven't played 40k all that much since AOS really came out and started going. But I mean, it really felt like all of the extra Space Marine chapters really kind of fell off there. You know, it was like you're either playing the Codex Primaris or the Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Space Wolves. They kind of fell off a little bit. Even Grey Knights, without the most recent book, kind of pumping them back up.
I don't know if Dark Angels have ever been not off.
They had a couple months here or there.
Weeks.
I
Yeah,
like throwing like 60 Assault Marines on the table and jumping across the table, and that's what you're supposed to do with Blood Angels.
Actually,
And when it first started, it was you had to run so many Imperial Guard to make you have enough command points to be able to do that and actually win a game. And that's where I was like, no.
so real quick, Jacob, we'll get into your general thoughts on the 9th edition announcement here in a second. But I'm just curious, because our club, the one thing it does have is everybody seems to love Blood Angels. And for some reason, I never really caught that bug fully. I love to look at them. And actually, my wife, she yells at me. She's like, why didn't you take the pretty Blood Angels over your Dark Angels? And I was like, I don't know. Leave me alone. But is that all because of Lou from our club? Is he the one that put the Blood Angel love in everybody?
I think
No,
especially
for
in the
me,
older group.
For me,
Well, maybe
yeah,
not for Jacob.
I
ahead,
happened
Jacob.
upon them because I wanted to play Space Marines, and I was like, I don't want to play generic. Because at that time, all the regular Space Marines, everything is Ultramarines, and I was like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I almost feel as
And-
if everyone in the club should have like a Blood Angel army. Because like we all talk about it, like no one hates them in our club. Not a single person goes, "Oh, I don't like that army."
That's the new rule. You at least have to have your kill team. That's
Maybe I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they look cool. There's a lot of really, really cool models in the army, and that's, I think, partially what dragged me to them. But
Yeah, I think I'm going to add that to the set of questions to join the club. Do you like Blood Angels?
Well,
and then yes or yes with a couple exclamation points.
well, maybe,
Tell me more.
maybe we should start doing like a club thing where even though I don't like Soup, like I said, I like allies, but everybody who plays this, no matter what army you have, you can bring in a single ally contingent of Blood Angels. Just to make sure everyone in the club has at least one unit.
Yes, write it down. Write it down.
Yep.
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
I'm doing that right now. Don't worry. I got
Awesome.
this.
Well, Jacob, what's your general impressions on the 9th edition announcement? Any of the rules you might like so far? Like I said, we'll go into detail on the Big 9 here after we get through all this, but just kind of
I'm
curious.
going to disappoint you because I missed all of it. I
Ugh.
worked that whole day, and
Well, okay.
I've been nonstop since then. So I'm a bad person to ask.
That's fine. We'll get back to you. I guess in general, are you excited for a new edition?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always excited to see what they're going to do and how they're going to change the game and bring different armies back into play that so far have started to fall out of play. They always are. One thing GW does very well, it seems, is that they will, whenever they change things, I mean, they change things for the better for everybody for a while at least, as far as 40k goes. So, I mean, it'll give me an opportunity to get some of my old models out again and play. I don't know.
So just a general question for right now, what are some of the top armies?
Space Marines.
What are some of
Space Marines, whatever. Well, I wouldn't say whatever flavor. So you got Grey Knights, you got regular old Space Marines, which they had to try and hit over the head with a bat. And I feel like Eldar Soup is still very good.
That's quite some variety.
I mean, I think depending on the meta at a certain time, and especially the terrain that's on tables, different armies flourish. And you've seen that as we've gone through this entire edition. Like, depending on where people are playing, even like from Nova to Adepticon, because of the terrain differences at those two different venues, you have different armies that do better at times. And I mean, that's a bit of a shame, but it's definitely something that if you start reading through some of the rules, obviously like a Tau army will love a nice wide open table compared to your close combat armies of Gene Stealers that are happy to have this giant wall in between them and the enemy.
I guess we should also mention briefly too, is when we're on like this little meta talk, our club does not use ITC format for our 40k games. We just kind of play out of the book type 40k, correct?
Yeah, I think that there are a couple people in the club who would like to go to the ITC format. They are, I think, just enjoying some of the consistency that brings, because I think that's one of the reasons 9th edition's coming out, is there are a few things that you're kind of looking at some terrain rules and things like that, and you're going, why? I don't like the way this reads, or I don't like the way this will interact. And so I think they just like to have a more consistent game. And so we might be looking at going over to that. But we'll see with this new edition too, if things change up enough that we don't even need to think about it anymore.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said,
so an ITC for 40K is actually like some rule updates or agreed upon fan rules or something?
Yeah, it's more of a better worded grouping of especially terrain rules, but also the missions that they give you baseline 40K are all, essentially all of them are, you score objectives at the end of the game. Who has the most objectives wins. Whereas in ITC, you care about objectives and kills throughout the entire game. And so it helps balance the armies that just want to kill things and balance your fast-moving armies that can keep up, grab all 5 objectives, and outscore their opponent.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, well, Age of Sigmar, we've been blessed when it came over. The game was set up in a way and continues to be set up in a way that we don't need a comp system, which is wonderful, because 8th edition had Swedish comp and all this other comp, and once Age of Sigmar got its feet under it in 2.0, and like I said, technically there is an ITC for Age of Sigmar. Like I said, for Nova, we support it, we put into it, because literally the requirements for ITC is like, hey, just submit your scores, do whatever you want, because the game is fine. Where 40K was, I mean, you guys might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but 40K was floundering back in like 6th and 7th, especially 7th, but things around 6th, and ITC kind of like held it together by making the game, playable in a balanced sense. Correct?
Yeah, personally, the tail end of 7th, things were starting to get a little overdone. There were, if you rocked up to the table, your minimum 5 books in your hands to keep things going, and there were definitely armies that just completely head and shoulders above the rest. It wasn't even a contest, and I think that they did a good job at trying to pull us all together. Whether or not that was working 100%, I don't know. I wasn't really too big into it the tail end of 7th because of what all happened.
Right.
I stepped away more or less. But 8th came out, and it helped me a lot.
It is interesting because, like Las Vegas Open is obviously ITC, because the guys who started ITC run Las Vegas Open. Nova Open actually does their own scenarios that they write, and usually you see those turned into ITC scenarios later on. What does Adepticon do? I don't, for 40K. I'm not entirely sure. Like, are they ITC, or are they like their own thing?
They're their own thing, so they're separate from ITC, from what I can remember as well.
Yeah, and then like Age of Sigmar, no matter where you go, it's the same. Which,
yeah, that's the beauty
nice.
of Age of Sigmar. I don't care where I'm going. I know what the missions will be.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's fair to say that at the end of the day, we know who GW actually really likes. So we got the AOS gets the the wink, and 40K just like, here you go, here's your allowance, go back over there.
It's what the mom like, and the two kids, and the kids like, hey, which one do you like more of? Like us more? And she's like, I love you both evenly. And the little boy runs away happily, and the mom leans over to the little girl. It's you by a lot. I like you.
Yeah, I know some people get all up in arms about the potential like Sigmarification of 40K, but holy hell, if there aren't some things that would be nice to port over, like having a good set of competitive missions in the core rulebook, or in chapter proof, having the unit rules be in the app, for crying out loud, instead of in 4 different books or in Battlescribe, because let's be honest, that's really what people do.
Yeah, I mean, Battlescribe makes it so much easier for us.
Yeah, that's why with that new app, I feel like they're not going to, but they need to start putting the unit rules out there. Like,
I don't know if they're not going to be there or not, simply because I believe I've seen that if you buy one of the new codexes, you're going to get access to the book in the app. So I'm expecting it'll be there.
Oh.
Well, so here's the thing, though. To me, I hear, the buy the physical book, get the digital copy for free on the app as a reason not to put the individual unit rules in there for free like the AOS app.
Yeah, you might be right about the individual rules. I don't know. It will be interesting to see what they do, but I do like that there will at least be an easier way of accessing them, even if it is only if you own them.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, I was talking, Chuck and I were talking last night, and I said, there's only one reason that I have an Ironjawz army, and that's because one day whenever I was working at the store, I was sitting there reviewing Ironjaw War Scrolls in the app, and I was like, I have to get this army.
Yeah, that app can be pretty dangerous. I have that problem too.
Right. So it's like letting people see the rules isn't taking money from your pocket. It's an investment. It's planting seeds.
In a lot of ways, I think you're 100% right. I think that would help 40K in a lot of ways. I like AOS because I can walk up with my phone and I can look up your army, I can see, I can see all the rules there on my phone.
Right. And then again, like, you still have to get the battle tome if you want allegiance abilities, battalions, items. There's still a reason to get the battle tome, but it's good to be able to open up a thing, go, hey, wait, this says Arcanauts, hit on a 4. What?
But yeah, why are you telling me I hit them on a 5?
Like I said, and even for our club that has new people, younger people, they come up to like, I have my army, and you're just like, okay, let me add this to my phone, and then I can help you play your army to get your feet under you while playing my army.
Well, you've done that with me, Chuck. I mean, you pulled up our units from armies that I played. I didn't know about, just to help me play them. So I think that would be a big help and big.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, really, like when you're playing your first games, like at least for our club, if you're younger and you bring an army, we're probably just not going to even worry about allegiance abilities. Like, let's do some more scrolls and get through it, and see how you feel after, and then slowly introduce the rules. Which, yeah, I'm with you. I want all the war scrolls or data sheets, whatever it's called, for 40K. I want them to be free on the app because it's just easier, and it's proven to work for Age of Sigmar, so it's gonna work for 40K.
Yeah, I have a feeling that their big drawback is, like, since they itemize equipment, they don't want to necessarily have to worry about putting the points of the items in there. And I feel like I'm torn on whether they could or couldn't get away with it. But if it's in a digital format, they can always update it if points change.
Right.
And here's
especially if they're going to have a list builder.
Here's the other thing: don't put power level on the actual data sheets. Keep them separate so you can change them. Because, like, I'll be honest. I would like to play power level, but I also know right now things have changed so much that power level is meaningless.
As a Deathwatch player, I truly enjoy power level.
Just grab all the war gear you ever want. It's all free.
Everyone
Just
gets
enjoy.
upgrades. You get upgrades. You get upgrades.
Here's 4 guys with the death. Was it the Deathwind frag launcher or whatever?
Well, Luis, we haven't got your general overview of what you think of the new edition. What's
So I'm in kind of an interesting spot, right? Because 8th is my first edition of 40K.
Oh.
So I have none of the baggage of older editions and all of the anxiety about what an edition change might mean. So like I just now, a few months ago, finished my first 2,000 point 40K army. And now I'm like, I don't know what that's going to look like now in 9th edition. And this is a perfect opportunity to just pick up a new army.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so to be fair, they have posted stating, don't get rid of your codexes. They are going to work in 9th edition. So, at least until your updated codex comes out, your army is going to be intact. At least it should be.
Yeah, it might be some points adjustments, but not.
But at the same time, Cole was just talking about bloat at the end of 7th edition. I play Chaos Space Marines, so I have 3 books plus the core rule book I'm carrying around right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I want all that stuff to stay separate. But yeah, at least I don't have to. We're not going to do Index Hammer for another year and a half potentially, depending on which army you play. So that's good at least.
Yeah, Index. It was like the Wild West of Age of Sigmar. Just bring stuff, go crazy, have fun.
I miss indexes.
Oh.
You should just left it there. Here's your indexes. Shut up.
People would complain and still buy it. Yeah, have you guys... our club has been positive. We're just a positive club because I think all of us here are pretty positive about the game. So we haven't had any of the salt that you see online. But have you guys seen any of that online? Like, obviously, like I said, outside our club, because our club's positive, but just, I don't get the people that there's an edition change and they've released some vague things about it and you hate it, it's terrible, you're ruining the game, blah, blah, blah. Like, I
think my favorite is the people who go like on social media and post like calm, rational concern, like, oh, I really like this rule, I hope they don't change it too much. And then you have like 135 comments of like, oh, look at you whining. Oh, I'm like, wait. he came in at like a rational 3 and you're coming at him at a 12. Like,
on behalf of the internet, I would like to welcome you to the internet then, Matt.
Oh, I know. So I'll pull up Facebook and I'll like swipe up twice and I'm like, well, I'm gonna go do something.
I'm good. I'm done now.
Yeah, it's like you get a few laughs and you're just like, okay, this is too much. I'm out. Why are you guys playing this game if this is how you feel?
Time to play the more fun game of let's gargle stuff from under the sink. That's
yeah.
The whole Terminator Skynet thing. We've had it wrong the whole time. The real thing that Skynet would do is just get online and make us hate each other, so we just get rid of each other.
It's probably Facebook's fault why Skynet goes bad. That's
yeah. It just gets AI recognition of hate. It's like, oh, this is what we're supposed to be. But
do we want to hit up the list?
Yeah. Matt, do you want to run through the list? Or do you want me to?
Sure, I got it, man. I got it pulled up right here. So,
yeah.
I think what we'll do is we'll go down. We got 9 things. I don't necessarily know if every single one is going to be a huge topic, but let's just run down the list and see what everyone thinks. So, number 1, big emphasis on balancing and polishing the system. I kind of feel like we've been talking about that one, but I'll start off on that one. Like I said, I feel like whenever 8th edition came out, I had not a lot, but like there was a couple things that just stood out to me. I'm like, well, that's an odd choice. Why would you do it that way? And based on the rest of the list basically checks every box that I had a concern with. What do you guys think?
Big thing for me will be seeing what they think needs polished. I think they're on the right track with 8th as far as I'm concerned. It's as far as the difference between it and 7th, this was the right move.
Yeah.
There's always things that can be streamlined even after they're done with this. Someone will go, well, this is another thing that could be done or worded better or anything. So that one to me is just an improvement that should always be being made anyway. So
did you watch the Stormcast podcast with who was it that was talking about rules? Jervis?
I have not.
Likely Jervis.
Yeah. Well, so he was basically talking and said that, like, if you were to, like, eventually there's a point where you essentially have to go into the rules writer's room and just give them, like, okay, you guys are finished. 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to go to printer. Because they said, like, if you leave it with a rules writer, they're going to just keep polishing and keep polishing and keep polishing until they've, changed it several times over. And I think that's basically where we got 8th edition, because like you said, 7th edition was an interesting time. I remember I was playing Grey Knights at that point, and I had a Storm Raven in order to get my guys in the back line, and I literally just stopped bringing it because it wasn't worth the hassle.
Right, and I mean, 7th to 8th, it's basically a completely different game. And I think that was, for a lot of people who didn't like 8th at first, they needed to realize that they're just completely different games, and that's okay. It was a better game.
Well, again, I mean, 7th is a completely different game from 5th.
You're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, that's not really that's a very vague one. So I think the second one will get some good, is a good topic here. So this is talking about the Crusade, where it's a campaign system for narrative play that connects your games together and has full-blown experience for battle honors. Your units can earn between games. And I know they were saying that, like, you can play, if you're doing your Crusade, you can do it just fine, and you can bring it into a match play, and your opponent doesn't even have to be doing it. You can still be, moving forward in your progression. What do you guys think about that?
I'm always for more narrative options in games. In 40K, I haven't really done much narrative. I just played Dark Angels and bring Azrael and have fun. But like I said, this might get me to create like a custom character and get a little bit more narrative with the game system.
Are you going to make a Tay-Rathi Dark Angel?
No. Tay-Rathi is staying in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, it could be a nice Inquisitor.
I'm not bringing one model that's not in. I'm staying in Dark Angel. We'll see. Maybe a custom captain.
So it's like Ariana Dante.
Ooh.
I like this.
That's okay. That's yours now. You're playing Blood Angels now, Luis.
No.
You can't let.
Good selection on a new army. I like it.
That's like when someone. I was trying to figure out like what pop star to use for my Sylvaneth, and someone said Miley Cyrus. I'm like,
Oh God.
You can't.
Perfect.
Yeah. So guess what you're doing.
Well, again, I said Michelle Branch, and I got crickets on that one.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a deep cut these days.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So I don't know. My thing is, like, I look at this and I think it's a great idea, but I can't fathom how it works. Like, how are you going to make a system where I get to improve my army and I can bring it into match play?
Yeah. I don't buy into that. I don't understand how that can work and actually be even and fair to anybody else, depending on what they actually do with what, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As far as, that could be turned into something that's, me and my buddies sit down and have a game, and well, now my units, whatever, they're better than, they're 3 times better than your regular unit.
Well, I don't
Just
think
because
they're
me and
going
my
to.
buddy had a game.
I don't think they're going to change the base rules, and so that's going to be kind of the thing. Is like, how do you come up with a system where your army is evolving without changing the core rules about it?
Well, that's where I'm at. They
what
can
really-
do it in that way. That's cool.
What-
But
What really intrigued me is whenever they talked about, oh, did your veteran get too many battle wounds? Well, let's convert him over to a dreadnought. That's that I liked the idea of it, but I need to see the execution of it before I really.
yeah, am I gonna pay the
Yeah.
same points for my veteran then as I am the dreadnought, or what?
I mean, so my guess is that it would be something that's pretty similar to Warcry. So, like, the way that I see people handle this in Warcry is if you were in the middle of a campaign and you're playing a game that is not part of, like, the group that you did the campaign with, you basically go back to your base level again for what you're playing with. Like, if this was a 40k game, you're still only dropping 2,000 points of stuff from your army.
Yeah.
And then what you're really doing by playing with them is you get the advancement. So you can still say, oh, this victory applies to your advancement track and you can move on. But you're not playing, if it's Warcry, you're not playing with 150 points or 1,500 points worth of stuff because of all the thralls you've added over the course of the campaign. You're still playing on even footing in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think this is probably one of the things I'm most excited to see, because while I'm skeptical, I do have faith in them to create something that is very intelligent. But we'll see if it gets implemented or not. I know a lot of times, like, they keep on, for AOS, they keep on doing, was it Path to Glory? And I've tried it. I mean, I've implemented it in some of my narrative stuff, but I don't know anyone that's ever been like, hey man, let's sit down and play some Path to Glory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my only concern that it ends up becoming a Path to Glory, which, yeah.
I bet retailers love Path to Glory.
Oh yeah, that's okay. So let's see here. So let's see. Number 3 on the list was more command points for everybody. I know we touched on this a little bit ago, but it sounds like basically what they're doing is everyone gets, just to pull a number out because they didn't specify a number, like everyone gets 10 points, and then you have to pay. Sounds like you pretty much have to pay for each detachment, and then if they're outside of your codex, you probably have to pay more. And it'll probably go back to that allegiance chart where it's like the less friends you are, the more you have to pay.
Yeah, I mean, this makes a knight army way more attractive to me.
Yeah, I think I'm like Cole said, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of the. Here's the Space Marines. Here's the Ultramarines. Here is the I forget what they're calling Imperial Guard now. Astra Militarum Army.
Yeah, I'll admit the one thing that has always had me struggling with the current edition and the format of 40k is it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around the fact that the flavor of what it means to be a Dark Angel is wrapped up in using command points to use your abilities. Like, I'm just so used to, like, this is who I am, and then you can use command points to do these little fun things here and there. It's been a weird thing for me, and like I said, it's probably the hardest part about me wrapping my head around the game, because I want to put down a Dark Angel army and feel like Dark Angels without having to plan out all my points for the entire game, it feels like.
Yeah, my biggest so no, this is not necessarily 9th edition. This is more just 40k versus AOS, which
yeah
could be a whole nother show. I am an old school video game player where whenever you get your special weapon, you hold on to the special weapon forever and you never use it because you might be fighting a giant super time lich, but right around the corner there might be two and he might have 4 heads, like
You're on the final boss, but is this his final form?
right. How many more forms does this guy have? So I never know when to give up. I never know when to spend CP in any way, shape, or form.
I've always been a component of spend early, spend often,
Yeah.
get it used, because if turn 5 comes and you're sitting there with 10 points, you're going, well, I wish I would have used this on turn 2.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would just... yeah, but I think that's just something that you have to play. I think you have to be a 40k player to really grasp command points.
Yeah, it would definitely help. The more games you get of anything, you know when you need to spend a resource. So, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I think, honestly, I could probably do an entire hour and a half show on just the philosophy of command points.
No, that for another time.
Yeah. So we'll move along here. Now, this is one of my favorite topics. Tanks can now fire in close combat. I know whenever 8th edition came out, this was one of the biggest head scratchers. I'm like, what did they do to tanks? Why the hell can like a singular grot run up to my Land Raider and stop it dead in its tracks? I'm hoping to see, fire in combat. I would love to see where it doesn't have to take a retreat move in order to continue moving forward. I feel like it should just literally be tanks will move, and if there is a unit within an inch, roll a number of dice equal to the number of models within 1 inch. 5 ups are mortal wounds, or 4 ups are mortal wounds. Meleeing tanks should never be a good idea.
Right, unless you're made to fight tanks.
Right.
You have weapons to fight tanks. Don't go near a freaking tank.
Right. And again, like I said, I think it'd be simple if you're a melee tank buster to add a rule stating, you do not suffer effects of the run over rule, whatever they want to call it.
You ignore that rule. Correct. 100%.
Right. That's very easy to just tack on to a. Okay. No, you're right.
If my unit is specialized in killing tanks, well, they know not to get underneath the treads. But yeah, your example of a unit of grots that runs up to a tank, yeah, no, they don't know.
Squish.
Yeah. My only thing then is I'd like to see a lot of the weapons on tanks have a minimum firing distance.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing this is where they should be drawing from real world situations where, maybe the twin linked las cannon that has a barrel that extends 3 inches off of the side of the tank probably can't hit something that's under the barrel.
There's not enough depression in the tank to actually shoot the unit. Right.
But that's why they always have the piddle mount turrets and
it just depends on the level
slots
of abstraction they want to get into. How granular do you want to get versus just being more abstract about it? And really, abstraction's much more modern game design anymore.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think Luis is onto something with okay, the main cannon has a 3-inch to 24-inch range, whereas these weapons just have a 18-inch range or whatever.
Right. And then if something's that close, just run over it.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I think that works.
Yeah, if anybody's played Star Wars Legion has a rule like that for tanks where they just displace models that are in front of them.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, you can't block a tank in Legion. You can't get it in combat. It just runs over you.
Well, even in my historical games, if you charge a piece of artillery, well, that artillery can't fire bombardment on you. It's the same concept, but I mean, you can't. You can only do so much with what. But you should be able to do something.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I started in 5th edition whenever tanks still had, or vehicles still had the armor value, which I was never a huge fan of, but at least it felt thematic. Like tanks felt like they had this presence and they were something different, something special.
Yeah, you couldn't kill him. A regular dude with a bolt gun could not kill a tank. He's just going to shoot at it, and it's going to ping off because it's a tank.
Right. Now, again, I do understand wanting to veer away from that, because then you always had everyone building a list and then going, okay, I should probably take 200 to 300 points out just for tank busting. And then sometimes my opponent brings a tank and sometimes they don't. So I definitely get from a list building perspective why they would want to take it away from that level of extreme. But then I think they swung a little too far the other way, which I think most game developers are prone to do.
Oh, it happens. It's like a big seesaw.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, like I said, I think with 9th edition, based on the fact that they brought it out that, you can still fire and everything like that, they didn't say anything about, not being tied up in combat, but I hope they go that route. But it looks like they're at least trying to nudge instead of swing.
Right.
Okay, so this one's going to be more for the 40K guys. So this is the overall terrain rework. I have some thoughts, but I'd like to hear you guys first.
So big thing is, like how I was saying, people like to use the ITC rules for things. Yeah. I'm hoping that they kind of go that route. Especially, like I've heard back in the same vein of tanks, people who play tanks are kind of sitting there are like, well, there's really no point in ever worrying about cover if I'm running armor, because you have to be inside the footprint of a piece of terrain and 25% obscured by that piece of terrain in order to get cover.
Wow.
Yeah. So essentially, if you are in armor, you don't worry about it ever. So I'm wondering if that is something they're going to think about.
Yeah, hopefully. Again, they've said so many different things about it. I don't remember the list that they went down, but
I can't. I don't remember it either. Otherwise, I'd.
But I know they brought up stealth elements for melee models.
Yeah, that kind of just reminds me of, like, right now you can charge from outside a line of sight and not have to worry about being shot at, essentially, because you get all that wonderful Overwatch, not just one unit like in AOS.
I wonder if, when charging from terrain, you'll still be able to shoot Overwatch at them.
Or at least maybe they'll still claim cover.
Right, you might claim cover even though you've left it. I don't know. It's interesting. Definitely, I think it's something that might help out the close combat armies, which debatable if they need it or not. But I've always felt that close combat in 40K is most of the time a suicide mission because everyone has a gun.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, I really like the inclusion of Overwatch, and I know this is straying a little bit, but I feel like Overwatch shouldn't be a given. I feel like there should have to be like a bravery test or something in order to make sure your guys are with it enough to shoot. Because I know there's been several times with like Grey Knights charging into a unit of Tau that are strategically placed to be in the proper range distance of 2 other units of Tau. Getting 48 shots put on me. That's just not even fun.
True, but that's kind of Tau's shtick, because just think, if you make that, are you worried at all what's going to happen with them Tau swinging back? No, not really.
Yeah, and again, like I said, with Tau, that's an extreme case. Tau versus Grey Knights is extreme, but I would personally like to see that Overwatch something be done, because like again, it's not game breaking in any way, but I'd like to see something be a little bit nicer to melee, and if that's the way to do it, then that's you're going to have people shooting out in the middle of a field just so no one charges them.
Right.
Let's see here.
That's a rule in the historical. If you charge out of the woods, within X amount of inches of a tank, you don't get shot at because they don't see you coming.
Yeah, and I think
And it works in that. I mean,
That's
it
an
works in
interesting
that
thing.
game, but that's a little different. But it does work in that game very well. That you have to position yourself just right to make it work. But if you don't, then you get shot at. But if you do, then you don't.
So one of the things I was talking about with Chuck about the overall terrain rework, I think one of the issues is GW, outside of like the random ruined cathedral or industrial works building, they don't really have that much varied terrain. I think it's pretty rare to see a full GW scenery filled terrain board with terrain. So I feel like one of the issues that we always run across in with the terrain rules is because they know this and they have to develop rules that are so vague and generic that they cover almost all different terrain types. Do you guys think that's accurate?
Yeah, and I think I miss some of the older editions where it was just, if you're in cover, this is the benefit that you get. And there are times, especially going through just the generic book, that different pieces of terrain can give different bonuses right now. And I'd prefer if we just streamlined it and said, hey, your woods and your ruins, they do both the same thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I wonder if...
Fun.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with Cole that, yeah, I think that was a good thing that was in previous editions, that there was you didn't have to sit down and figure everything out.
Yeah.
Okay, are you in woods or are you in ruins? Okay, this is your save. If you're in a building, this is your save. Other than that, we don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of would like to just see something simple. Where it's like, if you're touching the terrain, you get +1 save, and then based on how obscured you are, you can get you penalize your opponent to hit. And I feel like that would be something easy to do. But of course, even then, whenever you have percentage of obscuring, you even then get into some debates at that point.
Yeah, the percentage deal it's a bad way, I think, to execute what you're trying to get on.
Yeah, I think part of it too, as a relatively new Warhammer player, one of the things that I have really been frustrated by is the whole idea of true line of sight, and how that works out. How that works out with terrain that has windows and broken walls. I have had more arguments playing Warhammer about how much of a model I can see with a laser pointer than anything else.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Chuck, you've been quiet. What do you think about terrain?
I mean, terrain in general, I'd just like it to be easier in 40k, because I'm spoiled by what we have in Age of Sigmar, where it's basic. It gives you plus cover. If you want to use these additional rules to add more elements to it, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely feel like simple is better whenever it comes to terrain.
Yeah, because honestly, like, anytime I've encountered the situation where it's like, well, I don't know if, like, can I see this much? And I'm always going to be like, if you're shooting my model, sure, you can see it. If I'm shooting you and you're questioning it, okay, I can't see it. Like, I'm not that concerned.
Yeah.
I get the whole idea that when people create these rules, they want the rules to seem realistic and help you with immersion. Like, I should be able to peek out that window and shoot that guy over there. But at the same time, the argument you're going to have for it for 30 minutes is immersion breaking. So what's the point?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think just something simple and lenient. Because again, even sometimes I think AOS is a little too uptight with having to be wholly within. Because then you start worrying about the footprint of the terrain, and it'd be easier just to be like, yeah, you're touching it, so it's fine.
No.
Okay, so I don't
Holy
think
within is king.
What's that?
Holy Within is king.
I know. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's see here. I have a feeling we're not probably going to have too much of a fiery passion about point number 6, battles of every size.
Cool, we do that anyway.
Yeah. Anyone else have any fiery hot takes?
Like I said, I missed the whole thing, so I don't.
So
I don't know.
that's why we're going over it now. They're saying that you're going to be able to successfully play battles of every size.
So I think that this will work better in an environment where everybody gets the same number of command points to start with.
Yeah.
Because like one of the problems you run into with small games is I can fit a battalion into my 500 points. Versus there's no way in hell you're going to do that if you're playing Custodes.
Right.
So if you're the Custodes player, sorry, but you have no command points to work with other than the 3 for being Battleforged.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, definitely.
So streamlining and making it more consistent the number of command points that you have at those small point games is fantastic.
Okay, yeah. So, all right. So I think we all agree that don't be a pussy. Play 2,000 points and nothing else. That's
hot takes.
Yeah. Hot takes. No, just kidding. Play whatever size you want. It's fine by me. I don't care. Okay, this is going to be another one for the 40K players because I don't know this one. Revamping how reserves work.
So what I'm thinking they're going to do here. So,
well, let's start off. Let's take a step back. For me, how do reserves work now?
So right now, reserves work in turn 1. No reserves at all. Can never come down, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Now, each book, each codex has their own way of doing reserves, but quite a few of them are what used to at least be called deep striking. Where you place wherever you want, 9 inches away from the enemy. I'm not entirely certain if that's what they're planning on changing, or if it's the idea that if you don't have that rule, you walk on from your own board edge. Whatever I remember from the Twitch show was them talking about possibility of maybe coming on to a different board edge, which if I have to spend command points to do that, okay, maybe I can actually walk a unit of Space Marines off of your back board edge for some ridiculous number of command points, and now I've got you on 2 fronts because you said, I don't have to worry about the objective in my backfield. He has to walk to me.
Yeah, that's I'm interested to see where they go with this from that perspective, because I wasn't even thinking about again as Grey Knights, I always just teleport in, Yeah, like I said, I mean, I feel like things like reserves should be something that's pretty common, just lore wise. And
agreed. So everyone's spacefaring. They all can get people where they need to be if you're on planet already.
Right. I mean, we have ships, we have boats, we have cars. Let's vroom. Right. I'll tell you what. My wish list that. It will never happen, but every edition I'm going to hope, where the drop pod is a weapon. Anytime there's any cinematic and there's a drop pod in it, it is going to land on someone.
I also wish for the stream. I'd love to see it. Go for it, Jake.
I want to deep strike the Land Raider again. I mean... Come on. It's a freaking Land Raider.
Well, who knows? Maybe, I mean, people griped a lot about that one being gone, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw it. Worst case scenario, you bring it off from the side edge, huh?
The one thing I saw in there, I think, and I don't have it in front of me to see how it was worded, but it felt like one of the things they wanted to address with reinforcements was more protection against that first turn alpha strike, because one of the things I hate is the idea that first turn, if you're going first, you're looking at your opponent's army and seeing what can I effectively blow off the table before it gets a chance to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on the receiving end, it's even worse.
Right. Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with doing reserves not on turn one, because again, in in AOS, it's typically you're showing up by magical means, and that was the plan the whole time. Whereas in 40K, it is supposed to be flavored, or at least feels like it's supposed to be flavored more for, hey, we've already started the battle. We need you in here now. We're on our way, Sarge. So yeah, I think that's again, I didn't really have a complaint about it the first time around, but like I said, I'm sure the higher tables had some issues with it. Okay, so the next one is definitely another issue that I had with 8th edition. Explosive weapons will now deal a hell of a lot more damage to mob.
Yeah.
This is referring back to the blast weapons coming back.
So I think the real question is, are blast templates coming back?
I doubt.
I don't know.
I don't think they'd bring templates back at all.
Yeah, if you made me put money down on it. No.
Personally, I liked templates. I thought that was fun.
Because you're a historical gamer.
But I mean, I agree.
I thought that was super cool, though.
I didn't necessarily like like the misdirection. Too many times that I have
That's part of the fun.
too many times that I throw a grenade and the wind caught it and brought it back on me.
I just
It happens.
I just think the templates usually cause more arguments and actually tell you what to do, which is why they'll never come back.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, in all honesty, it was a simple fix last time around that I was shocked that it wasn't implemented. What's the name of the Space Marine tank that used to shoot the big pie plate?
The Vindicator.
The Vindicator. Right. So, like, 8th edition comes out. The Vindicator, I think it did, what, 2d6, 3d6 damage? But one shot, one kill. So you'd literally, like, find a giant squadron of orcs and just one orc takes a shot in the mouth. You do, like, 10 damage to him, but the rest of the guys are fine.
Yeah, I mean, can we get rid of one shot, one kill too? And maybe it's because I played Age of Sigmar first, but that I still can't wrap my head around that rule.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I mean, as far as that goes, I look at that and I see it as a really good. Balancing tool. I think it has a definite place. The issue is, it doesn't need to be a universal rule. Like, it doesn't need to be across the board, no ifs, ands, or buts. Because if I take a plasma gun and I shoot one dude, yes, that plasma shot is going to do more damage than a bolter round, but it's not going to take out more than one guy.
Unless it's a plasma cannon.
Right. Plasma cannon is going to take out a giant chunk of Earth, and not just the one dude that it initially makes contact with.
Yeah, so maybe like a sniper weapon type that only can ever kill one model.
Right, exactly. So, like, there should have been, like, again, from the beginning, it should have just been, blast is now a keyword or something like that, and it means that this deals, the damage spills over to the next model, to the next model, to the next model. I think that would have been a very easy wording in the first edition, and or 8th edition, I mean. And I expect to see something simple like that in the next.
Yeah, I hope for that too. Just it does feel kind of bad sometimes when you shoot a massive weapon and you kill one solitary guy, and you're like, oh, okay.
I really wanted that one Gretchen to be dead forever.
I want to shoot him so bad that his parents forget they had him. That's he's suddenly scrubbed from his yearbook. That's okay. And number 9, rework how flyers work. I would like your hot takes first.
Okay. So, for me right now, from what I got from the Twitch show was that they're going to rework it that normally right now in 40K, if your flyer falls off the table, he's dead. What I think they're going to do...
Which is the most ridiculous rule in the history of time.
Agreed. And I think that's why they're fixing this. I think they're going to go back to how it used to work in 7th edition, where if you fall off the table, you wait a turn, you can come back on.
Yeah.
If that's what it is, great, because otherwise you're just doing a circle track the entire 5 turns or whatever it ends up being until the game's over. You're just turning left until the game's over.
Again, like I said, the rule of if it goes off the table, it's dead is like the most ridiculous rule in the history of time. I don't even know why they would let those words be printed on a page. I mean, the battlefield exists an inch past my table.
It's just the easy way to solve a bigger problem, really.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, it's releasing the wolves to kill the I don't know, whatever, lions kill the wolves or whatever, and you're like, okay.
yeah, that's it's like whenever for a very local reference, whenever we got hit with the cicadas and people were talking about bringing the some sort of like super killer hornet to come and take them out, or wasp. And they're like, yeah, but then we're going to have a bunch of really angry wasps. I think not cicadas, the stink bugs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, maybe stink bugs are okay. Like,
we can live with them.
Yeah, I have no problem if they want to have a flyer, fly off the edge of the table, and then next round you can bring it back from either your side or the side it went off.
Well, I would say overall, Cole, I don't know if you would agree or not, but flyers have decreased in being put on a table as a result.
Yeah, I wouldn't say at the very beginning of the edition. Whenever 8th first came out, you would run... Well, there were people running 6 flyers and doing very well in 8th edition at the very beginning of this. So I don't think it stopped things so much as it just doesn't feel right, and it feels like I'm pigeonholed into where I need to be. Now they've gone back through and fixed how flyer rules work nowadays, because it was a little ridiculous. I think like the first few months of 8th, there were so many 6 flyer lists out there, but those dark days are gone. I think this is just something to help bring them back on the table. And
yeah,
it's a small nudge rather than a big Hail Mary will make them really great.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what they do with them, because like flyers are such an enigma because they fit perfectly in the lore and they fit perfectly in the narrative, but it's kind of a hard squeeze to get them in the game rules wise, because like again, if you have a melee army, a bunch of Tyranids, without the guns, the melee kind, it's theoretically they shouldn't be able to take out a flyer, but at the same time it's not fun to be the player in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, flyers are the most beautiful models I don't want to deal with because I don't want to figure out how to use them. But I want to get one of the flyers, and I want it to be fun on the table.
Yeah, the whole idea of a flyer having a base and how the flyer interacts with other models and terrain, it's just a huge headache. Can we just leave that for Aeronautica?
Well, I'll tell you, since day one, since they introduced flyers, I've always said that there should just be like a bunch of just single rods that go from like the tip, like the one from the tip to the ground, one from the tail to the ground, and one for each wing to the ground, and you can just fly right over models. You can set it over models. It's fine. No base, just these stabilization rods.
It does cause a big pain in the butt with movement and trying to position it. There you go again. If you can't go off the table, it makes it hard to position sometimes that you can keep yourself on the table because you don't want to spend 20 minutes having somebody put their models on top of your base so you can move next turn.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like I said, I definitely don't want to be them to try and figure out how those decisions are made.
No.
Was that all 9
right.
then?
Yeah, that's all 9.
Nice. Yeah, it was fun. Nice to see everybody's opinion on it too, because I mean, ultimately, we just need to get it in our hands and start giving it a try. I look forward to that. That'll be a fun time for the club.
Well, do we want to do any 9th edition plans? Does anyone have anything planned for 9th edition?
Get these Harlequins done. Get to enjoy that new Psychic Awakening book came out. It's pretty well lit.
I want to put 200 to 300 grots on the table.
I want to see that.
I don't care if I win, because I'm sure I'm going to lose, but I just want to do it.
Watch the green carpet come over people.
Like I said, and then just Gazgo in the middle of it, 6 times bigger than everybody else. Like, shoot me. You can hit me 4 times, but I don't care.
It's kind of like Marathi and a bunch of witch elves.
Yeah, the witch elves are a little bit more useful in these grots, though.
True.
Hey, now. That's
True.
not that tall.
What's your plans, Luis?
I think I'm going to pick up another army. I was just originally thinking for 40k I was going to stick with just one, and I think now I'm going to relax it a bit to 1 per edition. I still think I need to do something compared to my current Age of Sigmar plan, which is buy all the things.
Fair.
But I'm not sure what. I'm going to mull it around for a bit. I got a few ideas, but nothing super concrete yet.
I know I'm planning on adding a Dark Angel flyer to my list and maybe a unit of aggressors for some fun. But I'm just looking forward to possibly just getting to fully Primaris my Dark Angels in the coming years.
Yeah, for me, I'm since Chuck's doing Dark Angels, I'm just holding out for them to actually release Space Wolf specific sculpts, and I'll jump on the Primaris Space Wolf bandwagon whenever they come out. Otherwise, I'm just going to hold off, because if I start dividing, or if I start picking up random units here and there, I'm going to have be back where I was a couple of weeks ago before I got rid of all my 40k stuff. So
yeah. Well, I think. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're all right. If the now again, if they take forever, I might eventually start doing a Sisters of Battle, but that's only if my will fades.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I think this has been a good conversation. Good way to introduce you guys to our listening audience. So when we have you back on, we don't have to spend time going through that, and we can just chat about the main topic longer. But for now, we'll end it here. But I'd like to definitely, if you guys are on social media, shout out where people can follow you. So Luis, where are you at, and how can they follow you?
I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit as Top Gundark. Gundark, like the alien from Star Wars.
Nice.
Or we actually know it's Top Gun Dark.
That too. That was the point.
Jacob, are you on any social media that you'd like to share?
Nothing like related to this kind of stuff. So
Okay. That is...
No, stay away. As we said before, he was born 67.
I'm like an old man in a young person's body.
There you go. Cole, what about yourself?
I only have a Twitter. I haven't done a good job posting to it over the last few months. I was working on a nice hobby streak, but that kind of ended once I heard about Adepticon not gonna happen. You can find me at C McGunn. It's just first letter and last name cut in half. So
there you go. Matt, how about you?
As always, Lazenka NTM. You can do that at Twitter. Do it on I don't know. Just at Chuck, and he'll send it my way.
There you go. For myself, as always, StrengthHammer _ on Instagram and Twitter, StrengthHammer on Facebook, or StrengthHammer.net, and StrengthHammer on YouTube. Everywhere, StrengthHammer. But yeah, thanks for having a chat with us this morning, guys. I appreciate it. And to everyone out there, stay Stormcast strong.